Hi everyone, I'm trying to make one of these, but make it a lot nicer. You can say I'm trying to make a nicer one of these. They're a mechanical eraser. They work just like a mechanical pencil, but they have this long thin eraser that goes inside. They click out, and you click and hold, they go back in. You can erase stuff with them. I'm making a metal one. In this video I'm going to go from this threaded coupler to this threaded coupler design. I'll walk you through why I did that. Basically it's going to take my erasers from looking like this and make them look like this. I'm going to walk you through what some of the design changes were and why I made those changes, and hopefully you can learn something from me today that will help you in your future projects. This is the eraser I was able to make on the wood lathe, but now that I have a metal lathe, there's a few things that I can improve. It's a little bit hard to see on video, but these two pieces don't screw together perfectly. I want to be able to make this line disappear, so when they screw together it's seamless. The problem is this threaded coupler. I talked about it in an earlier video. I'll put a link to that video down in the description, but basically my new design has this lip in the middle, so both halves go onto this lip. I think that's going to make it so everything goes together straight and it goes together the same way every time. I'll be able to smooth off that section and make the seam disappear, I think. But that presents a problem. My current design has two brass rings. They're these yellow things here. The first one is for compressing the clutch, and that holds the eraser in place. But this other ring is to hold back the spring. If I push on the clutch, you can see that ring is holding the spring back, and that's what everything is springing upon. Well, this piece isn't freely moving in there. What I'm doing is this threaded coupler screws in and pinches tight against this brass ring. So the threaded coupler comes in, there's a ledge inside of the tip. So when it goes in the tip, it screws to a point and then stops. It pinches that ring tight. In this way, the spring can apply that backward force that's needed for the mechanism to work pinched down on the eraser. But there's one problem. When I screw this in all the way, that ring is held in place. If I was to take this back just a little bit, the eraser moves in and out. It's not held in place solidly, it has a little bit of play. That play is however much out this is. So however much freedom this brass ring has to move in there is how much the eraser is going to move in and out. So in an ideal scenario, this is held completely tight. It won't be possible to get perfectly tight to this lip and perfectly tight to the brass ring inside. I could get it incredibly close, and with enough compression, then I could probably make it work, but making a lot of those and making them reliably is way too difficult. So I need to find a way around that. Basically, I need to make it so I don't have this ring anymore. So this ring needs to disappear, and I can easily make that disappear by drilling a large hole first and then a small hole. If I was to draw that on paper, this threaded coupler, ignoring the lips on the outside, would look like this. And in this way, this ring is acting as this narrower section. I get rid of that. I need something for the front of this spring to push on, and that would be this ledge in here instead of this ring. But there's a problem. I'm not starting out with a straight tube in here. I already have a narrower section down here. And that narrower section, I'll link to a video down in the description where I went through this more in depth. But I was having an issue with my eraser settling, and this piece doesn't go back any further. It's already resting on this ledge in here. So I have this resting on a ledge, but I want my spring to go in this way and rest on a ledge. Well, I can either choose to do a big drill bit and then a small drill bit, or a big drill bit and then a small drill bit, but I can't machine this shape easily. It's possible, but this is not an ideal shape to machine. So I have to choose which one's more important. Either I want to have this stop on a ledge, or I want to get rid of this ring. Well, I have to get rid of this ring if I want to use this design. And I've come up with a way that I don't need this ledge anymore. This was a really convenient way where I was able to make this stop. What a lot of mechanical pencil manufacturers do is that these slots are machined to a precise width, and then it's stopped from going any further because this ring can't go over the end. That will present some more issues, but that will mean that I no longer need these pieces here. I can drill with my large drill bit and then finish with a small drill bit. I'll get rid of this ring, and that will allow me to screw both halves together. I can screw this all the way in and not have the issue with the slop because of the loose ring, because the ring won't exist, and it will be replaced by this. And when I screw both halves together, then I'm going to get something that's straight and it's going to come together the same way every time, and I think I'm going to be able to make this line disappear. Okay, that was a lot, so I'm going to summarize. This ring needs to disappear because I'm adding this lip to my design. I can't come tight against the ring and tight against the lip at the same time. So I'm getting rid of this by first drilling. I'm going to drill in this way with a large drill bit and then finish with a small drill bit. That will give me this ledge in here. That ledge will give something for my spring to push off of. This ledge in here for the spring to push off of is replacing this brass ring. Now instead of having a ledge back in here, I'm going to make my slots thin enough and this ring small enough that it doesn't slide off the end, and that prevents my movement back instead of this ledge. Alright, there's one last issue that I ran into. Here's the part. Now that I have a metal lathe, this is a lot easier to make. It has that ring so both parts can reference onto it. If you look, you can see that ledge down inside of there. It looks just like this. The issue is, remember this ring that I have on the clutch? This ring was to stop down inside of here, but it's dual purpose. The spring also pushes off of that piece. Well, now with this new clutch, the ring doesn't fit through. You might think, that's okay, just put it through this way. Which would have been fine, except with my new design, this brass clutch ring can't come off the end. So I can't put them in this way. I have to put them in this way. And then I have to put the spring in from this side. So everything goes together this way. But that means I can't have this ring that sticks out anymore for the spring to go off of. Basically, there's nothing pushing this spring as soon as I have everything together. So spring doesn't spring. I think I'm going to solve that by essentially putting a ring in here. I could size up my tubing, or I can put a ring inside and just press fit it onto my tube. I'm not sure which one I'm going to stick with yet, but if I put a ring there, it'll have something for the spring to go on. This brass piece would have to fit inside of here and fit and press fit onto here, or maybe glue on top of here. Press fit seems a little bit more reliable to me, but harder to machine. I still have to figure that one out. I'm getting closer to the design I want. I have to do it this way. Getting rid of this ring was the only way I was going to make this design work. My two halves were coming together at an angle, they were coming together offset one way or another, and they'd always come together different depending on how I screwed them together. I thought this was a very simple way to screw things together, just thread one piece on this way and thread one piece on this way and everything would be great. But if you look around on pencils and pens and other erasers even, this is the sort of design that's used. Take, for example, this one right here. This is one of the places where I got that idea. But you can see with this mechanical pencil, they're using this design and they're not using this design. It's just not possible to have one threaded portion and have two pieces thread onto it and have it come together precisely. This is the sort of thing that's used in lamps. You see it all the time. It's just one threaded tube and the two pieces go together. But on a lamp, I guess nobody cares if they come together perfectly or not. It's okay to have a little bit of a line. But when you're holding something in your hand and writing with it, it's a lot more noticeable when it doesn't come together perfectly. This is the design that everybody uses. And maybe I should have known that this is what I should do too. But I wanted to start with something simple. My goal is to have it to be as simple as possible. That makes it as cheap as possible to make. And I want to make it still as good as I can make it, but still make it at an affordable price. So that's the goal with this. I tried this, it didn't work, and now I'm moving on to a design that's more like what you see in other places. So I'm making this, it's going to work. I just need to figure out how I want to press that spring on the back side, but I'm there. The next step, I know this video is getting long, but so I don't know if anybody's going to be watching at this point, but the next step is to figure out what size these slots should be so this ring doesn't come off. I made these slots here, I made this ring, but I want to make it consistent. I want to measure it to figure out how much compression I need. I'll make another video on that.